Human beings don't always cope very well with change, do they? One of the biggest mistakes I ever made in ministry was to move all the chairs in church one week so that everyone turned up to worship on Sunday and had to sit somewhere new. There'll be some of you listening to this remembering when that happened and how uncomfortable that unexpected change made you feel. And once again, I'm sorry. I'm the same. Too much change too quickly makes me feel uncomfortable. Every time they change the rules about what we can or cannot do during this current crisis, it makes me feel more agitated. But we believe, don't we? We believe in a God of transformation, a God of change. A God who's not satisfied to leave us where we are, but who wants us to move on, to be better, to do better things. And that sounds wonderful, that God wants to move us to do better things and be better, until we realise that this means we have to change. All too often we have become too comfortable where we are with who we are. We've learned to live with ourselves. That's just me, we say. And the truth is, even though we know that who we are now is far from perfect, we'd be more comfortable to remain as we are. Because change is hard work, change is scary, and so we harden our hearts to God. We resist moving forward. Today's psalm has a warning for us against hardening our hearts. It starts, though, in praise. Come, let us sing for joy to the Lord. Let us shout aloud to the rock of our salvation. Let us come before him with thanksgiving and extol him with music and song. For the Lord is the great God, the great King above all gods. In his hand are the depths of the earth, and the mountain peaks belong to him. The sea is his, for he made it, and his hands formed the dry land. Come, let us bow down in worship. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. For he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture, the flock under his care. Today, if only you would hear his voice. Do not harden your hearts as you did at Meribah, as you did that day at Massah in the wilderness, where your ancestors tested me. They tried me, though they had seen what I did. For 40 years I was angry with that generation. I said, they are a people whose hearts go astray, and they have not known my ways. So I declared on oath in my anger, they shall never enter my rest. You might remember that story, the story of the Israelites in the desert. They'd been freed from slavery, but that freedom, that wonderful change was not so easy. They ended up tired and thirsty and grumbling to Moses. And it was then that God spoke. He provided water from a rock, miraculous sustenance. But that didn't stop the grumbles. More than once, the people said they'd rather go back to being slaves than to live through the change that God was bringing them through, than to live through that journey through the desert in order to get to the promised land. The change, that period of change, was too hard. I wonder if there are areas of your life that God wants you to change. Long-held attitudes or behaviours that you know are not right but have been unwilling to give him. Things that are just too hard, you think. And so you've just let them slide. In what areas have you hardened your heart? Maybe it's someone you've been, who's hurt you, someone you have refused to forgive, to reconcile with. Maybe it's intolerance or a lack of grace towards other individuals or groups of people. Maybe it's a sinful behaviour that you have given up trying to change. Ask God to soften your heart today. Commit with him to working for that change. Let him lead you as your shepherd into becoming who he made you to be. Let him lead you into his loving arms and into his promised land.